All right, so, hey, what's your take on performance-enhancing drugs? Bad or horrible, right? What's the right way to do things? Right. That's right.
Good evening, everybody. It's Coach McMahon. Happy Friday to you. Hope everybody's had a great week. This is SPARC Talk, Episode 4. This week, we were awarded the Chairman's Cup by Somerset Medical Center for Outstanding Patient Satisfaction for the fourth quarter of 2012. Hey, big shout out to our team. Congrats to everybody for this award. Great job, guys. Okay, we got a special interview this week. Recently, John Kripsak, who is the medical director of the Sports Performance and Rehab Center, wrote an article titled "Competitive Edge Can Push Athletes Too Far." It was featured in the Courier News and MyCentralJersey.com. It focuses on the use of performance-enhancing drugs. I sat down with Dr. Kripsak this week to talk to him a little bit more on this topic in the article that he wrote. Enjoy. Okay, we're here with Dr. Kripsak talking on the article he wrote recently for the Courier News. Dr. Kripsak, what was the drive for you to focus on this topic of performance-enhancing drugs?
The concern with athletes, professional athletes in the news, not just recently, but over the past several years, and its potential impact on the behavior of impressionable young athletes looking to model themselves after their idols.
The drive. What are some concerns about drives right now with athletes in using performance-enhancing drugs? We know they're negative, but what are some drives that that are out in the world today that maybe parents can kind of step in front of their kids and stop those drives from happening to use these drugs?
Well, from the kid's perspective, and unfortunately from some parents' perspective, there's always the goal to win and exceed, and the competition for a starting position is very high. There's also concerns or drives to get a college scholarship for younger athletes because of basically the financial situations that we're all in. A college scholarship can save a family a lot of money, but by the same token, in some of what we call the Olympic sports or the not big sports like basketball and football, sometimes the money that you invested in an athlete to get them a scholarship is more money than the actual scholarship is worth. So, if you look at sports like baseball or soccer, lacrosse, crew, rowing, your scholarship may max out at $5,000 or $6,000 a year. So over 4 years, that's maybe a $20,000 savings, and some parents may invest over $30,000 to get the kid that scholarship. So that's a very interesting financial aspect of what drives kids to perform better. And there's always the lack of knowledge as to the side effects of performance-enhancing drugs, what they can do to you or do to your health in the long term. I've often seen patients that take performance-enhancing drugs that when they get injured, they actually are slower to recover and may miss more time from competition, thereby decreasing their appearance or their impression upon a coach or a recruiter because they're not able to play because of their injury. So while at one time they may have been a little faster or stronger, if they're not able to play because of a delayed or prolonged injury, that really doesn't do them much good.
And we see all the benefits out of it right immediately, with the professional athletes, putting up huge numbers, having, great games, coming back real quick from injuries, and then all of a sudden we see that they they could possibly be taking these, drugs, and then all of a sudden, there's a lot of other things that are involved in that, and these guys have, the money to support these things, and, a high school athlete does not. So what other things, are going on to try, what secondary drug uses are going on, and there's other problems that manifest from this. That's why it's such a negative thing. What recommendations would you have? You're a parent and athletes and stuff from a parent aspect who has youth athletes. What are your recommendations for them? You kind of stated some things in your article. What would you say to them to say, hey, warning signs, how to educate, how to be a role model for your kids not to do something like this?
Well, you always want to stress proper nutrition because it's very important to to eat healthy, stay away from junk foods, eat a proper diet, because proper fuel will help enhance performance. There was a beautiful article that I just read this week in the American Journal of Sports Medicine that talked about the ill effects on athletes of vitamin D deficiency, whereby athletes that are deficient in vitamin D are more prone to, again, delayed recovery from muscle injuries, increased risk of stress fractures from overuse. There's some fatty infiltration of the muscle, thereby decreasing fast muscle twitch fibers and not having as quick of a reaction time or as good of balance or coordination if you've got very low vitamin D levels, less than 10. So having proper nutrition, good vitamin D levels, proper strength and conditioning programs. If you do those kind of things, you know, God has given us a certain amount of talent, and then you can improve upon that with good diet and nutrition. But when you start getting into the performance-enhancing drugs, you run the risk of other potential side effects. Overly aggressive behavior, very risky behavior. You can be more prone to violence, poor grades in school, getting in trouble with a boyfriend or girlfriend in terms of, there are reports of domestic violence with aggressive behavior. So things like anabolic steroids can decrease your good cholesterol in your body, and then just have longer-term ill effects that I think we just need to try to steer our kids away from. That if you lead a good, healthy lifestyle, that's so much more important than trying to catch an edge because of all the ill effects that the benefits don't outweigh the risks.
That's what I was just saying.
Yeah,
the gain is not worth the cost.
Right.
At all.
Right. And in the state of New Jersey, we have randomized drug testing for performance-enhancing drugs that's based upon a lottery for schools that make state playoffs. So it's not that we're able to test everyone, but there's always the risk that someone that's using performance-enhancing drugs could get caught, and then there's consequences to that. So I think the state's taken a nice approach with this. It was initiated by Governor Cody a few years ago, and NJSI has taken up a nice position to be able to carry on this testing. And we're hoping that it's a detriment, just one form of being a detriment, to keep kids away from using performance-enhancing drugs.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Big thank you again to Dr. Kripsak for sitting down with us this week. That's going to do it for this week of SPARC Talk. Thanks for joining us. Please feel free. Give us a comment. We'll respond back. Any questions, we'll be glad to answer them. Have a great weekend, everybody. Talk to you next week.